second.
Good afternoon, Archer families. It is wonderful to be able to be with you this afternoon, and I'm so grateful for the time that you have afforded myself and your children's new teachers this afternoon. And what an afternoon we have had here at school. It's been my great pleasure to go to all of your children's Year 7 English lessons this afternoon and see them in full action with their Phantom Toll booth. So please do ask them about their afternoon today at school. But I'm aware, parents, that having to continue to proceed with online meetings can continue to feel strange and perhaps almost a little bit disappointing. I feel aware that we continue to miss things that I think are so important, the time and space for us to be together, to share and explore collaboratively what our school community is about. But we must be incredibly careful right now that we are focused on the most important thing, which is protecting your child's attendance at school. And that means doing all that we can to limit the impact of coronavirus transmission as it stands. So please know that our priority is to bring you into school and have us all together at the earliest opportunity, but that we must do that sensibly and we must do that proportionally. But as you begin your journey as the newest members of our very special community, we wanted to ensure that we did have the chance this afternoon for you to have some time with myself, Miss Ogbasa-Lacey and Miss Martin, and then some time with your child's new form tutor as you begin to build those new relationships. But of course, some of you may not be the newest members of my community. Some of you may be very well seasoned parents in the Archer community. Thank you so much for your continued support. But wherever you may be in that Archer journey, the importance is to regroup and ensuring that your new Year 7 child makes as happy and a confident start as any other young person, sibling or not, may have made at school. Now, we do have the Q&A function available this afternoon, and the process will work in this way. You're here with myself and then Miss Ogbasa-Lacey and Miss Martin until about 5:30, and then you'll move across to click on your second link that will enable you to meet with your child's form tutor for a more informal session this afternoon about them and how life in Year 7 will work. When I hand over to Miss Ogbasa-Lacey and Miss Martin, they will be focused much more on the structural elements of what happens next to best support your child as they move through Year 7, and particularly some of the big events and opportunities that are coming up in the context of baseline assessment, Kingswood, and other things that are just around the corner. You may also remember that when we met in the summer and we were all sat outside on the AstroTurf, I highlighted to you then that I felt it would be much better for us to be able to talk to you about flight paths, the assessment mechanism that we use for your child whilst we were in a more formal computer-based setting. And Miss Martin will take you on that journey this evening. I think that would have been a hard thing to do outside on the AstroTurf, but flight paths are a core element to support you and your child in ensuring that they all realise their potential confidently and that we know what that progress looks like. But as we stop at this point now to begin this new September, I would simply like to say, wow, your children have been superb, and it has been such an incredibly special start to the academic year. You will be aware, parents, that we have suffered a real tragedy in our parent and our student community at the end of the school holidays. But seeing the way in which your children have started their Archer journey has been really soothing for the soul and really wonderful to see their excitement and enthusiasm for school life. They've jumped straight in with so much enthusiasm, throwing themselves into all that school has to offer. It's hard to believe they've only actually done one full week. I was worried that the lateral flow test may take the shine off things last Monday in particular, and I highlighted to them they would have a memory to share with their own children in many years to come, that on their first day of school they all had to line up on the playground and stick things up their noses first. Hopefully that won't still be a feature when young people are attending school in that many years in the future. But they were wonderful and took it all in their stride. And I'd like to thank you for your support, particularly pre-term, in enabling us to take as many lateral flow tests as possible and bring the children back to school. But as we think about our time together this afternoon, it's important to take account of COVID risk assessment strategies. We have unfortunately had some positive cases across today and from the preceding weekend. You know that my approach is to manage that risk sensibly and carefully, proportionately. The most important thing is that children are in school and able to enjoy the most that school has to offer. And so I would urge parents that you take every care to ensure that your child takes a lateral flow test each Monday and Friday morning. They're such a good preventative mechanism. And I would ask, please, if we could go face mask shopping so that your child has a good stash of face masks on them. That would help enormously, as we seem to be getting through hundreds of them at school, and just slightly worried about our environmental footprint amongst anything else there. But as we proceed into your child's first term, I do will be ensuring a very cautious but sensible approach to their care, to ensure that we can make the very best of everything that's available to your young person and you at Archer, because this is their secondary education and I want them to enjoy every moment. We wish to benefit from increased flexibility, and that means doing the daily things as safely and carefully as we can. We were not able to have a full enrichment programme last year, but we are set up and ready to start that programme at October half term this year. We hope and intend to run our Kingswood residential, and Ms Ogbasalacy will talk about that in a moment, whereas we couldn't do that last year. We have authors booked in to come and be with your young people in the next few weeks. And again, those things were held back. So please know, for us, it's about enriching the everyday and how important that is for your child at this point in their in their starting point of year 7. Now, we call this stage in year 7 the Archer Explorer. Year 7 and 8 form the first 2 stages of the Archer Graduate, which is our template that we use to guide our young people and their teachers through school. And we say that the Explorer stage of the Archer adventure is about becoming curious, building resilience, building confident foundations in 3 really important areas: academically, socially and culturally. For those really do form the bedrock of what comes next. We hope that our Archer Explorers will experience a varied and challenging curriculum. They've certainly enjoyed thematic learning last week, and just a reminder that that of course is a very unique part of our curriculum here at school. But all aspects of that curriculum are designed to enable them to become even more inquisitive and to develop their independent learning skills. We hope that in time they will increasingly develop their skills of collaboration with their peers and be able to take care of their own and others' well-being. That they are increasingly able to become active citizens in school, and looking at the number of students who applied to become school counsellors, they certainly want to take up that beacon, which is wonderful. So that phrase Archer Explorer is something that they will become incredibly comfortable with through their work with Ms Ogbasalacy and their form tutors, but just worth you having an idea as well about those core broader skills that we are wishing to support your young person in developing alongside superb academic progress. Now, I'm going to hand over to Ms Ogbasalacy and then to Ms Martin. If you do have any questions, please do put them into the Q&A function, because Ms Martin will bring us back to those questions towards the end. And then I'll come back with some final bits and pieces towards the end. Thank you very much. And Ms Ogbasalacy, it's over to you.
We can't hear her. Can you take over, please, until...
Yeah, I will launch us into Key Stage 3 curriculum and assessment. If you could get my slides ready, sir, that would be excellent. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It appears that Ms. Ogbasalese may be having a couple of technical problems, but what I will do is I will take you on a journey now through our Key Stage 3 curriculum and assessment model. Now, this is going to take you on a journey to hopefully show you how we at Archer help your child to realise their potential, what progress might look like, and then how we communicate that back to you. Now, Ms. Harrison's just mentioned our Archer graduate module with your child working towards being an Archer explorer, and hopefully as I go through the next few slides you can see how this framework will enable your child to go on that academic journey. So I'm just going to talk to you a little bit first about Key Stage 3 at the Archer Academy. So I've covered some of these already, but generally our aims are to build on the hard work that your child has put in at primary school at Key Stage 2 and carry that over. We aim to challenge. We don't want to hear that anybody is finding things too easy. We want your child's work to be pitched just right. So challenging them whilst not being too difficult, but difficult enough for them to feel that they're building up new skills. We want to start thinking at Key Stage 3 about this idea of being a subject specialist, mastering each subject. So thinking about how in history you're actually a historian and in science you're a scientist and what those skills might look like. We aim to communicate everything to you so that you at home have a clear picture of how your child's doing, what you can do to support. And then, of course, we want to make sure that everything we're doing now has clear links to Key Stage 4 and that upper school journey that your child will go on with us later in their school career. So a quick start with what your child will study in Year 7. They will do the core subjects of maths, English and science, and then they will study either French, Spanish or functional skills. They will do history or geography, dance, music and drama, thematic learning, art, design and technology. I'm not sure if you've managed to have any conversations with your child yet, but I would definitely ask them what they're up to and what their project is in thematic learning, because there's some really exciting things going on there. Now, thinking about Key Stage 3 and how we approach Key Stage 3, I'm going to talk you through the model that we use, the flight path model, how we identify what flight path to put your child on, and then how that model works and how we communicate that back to you. So how did we start all of this? We identified specialist skills for each subject. Each subject was broken down into 5 big ideas. And then we design curriculums for Years 7 and 8, that's our Key Stage 3 years, that develop these skills. We want to inject a bit of curiosity, adventure and fun into all of this, but whilst bearing in mind that not every child is working at the same level and that we need to differentiate for the wide range of abilities that students join us with, so that, as I said before, work isn't too difficult and students feel challenged. Let me just give you an example of what that might look like. So, for example, in English, that's been broken down into 5 big writing ideas. So big idea 1 would be about using paragraphs to structure your work. Big idea 2 would be about creating imaginative and thoughtful pieces of writing that are appropriate to the genre. Big idea 3 would be about your sentence structure and punctuation. And then 4, vocabulary, and 5, spelling. So you can see how those 5 different components all link very, very clearly to a piece of writing, and your child will receive feedback on where they're meeting their flight path for each of those individual ideas. So now I'm going to talk you through developing our model, flight paths. So we came up with the idea of flight paths because they're designed to be aspirational. It really is that idea that the sky is the limit and your child is very much in the driving seat, in control of their own learning journey. So how do they work? A flight path determines the minimum progress that a child should make to be on track. And so that means that they should be expecting work from their teachers that challenges them whilst not being too easy or too difficult. What flight paths help our teaching staff to do is set out the right degree of challenge, and that challenge is posed at 4 different levels. Now that level will indicate the minimum level that your child should be working at. We never want a child to be working under where we would expect them to be, and we would always expect to be pushing them to work above and beyond, realising their full potential. Normally, a student would stay on a flight path, but we review these continually, and we would always look to move a student onto a higher path if we think that's appropriate, but we would never move a child down to a lower path. So, thinking about the key principles then, the Key Stage 3 assessment model is based on a combination of baseline testing, which I'll talk you through shortly, and information collected from Key Stage 2 at transition. This ensures that the challenge is appropriate for your child's level based on when they're currently working at. We're then able to report back to you if your child is where we think they should be, if they need to work a bit harder, or if they're actually working above and we need to consider pushing that challenge up. There are 4 flight paths, and these are grouped by colour, and these indicate the minimum that a student should be doing. So we've got purple, grey, green and black. Now, when your child's generated their initial working flight paths, it might look something like this. So you can see that for this particular screenshot, this child is working on a grey for most of their subjects, but they're green in maths, and that may be that perhaps they performed a lot better at their baseline maths test, and perhaps their transition data would suggest that they're stronger in maths than they are in perhaps other areas. Now, this is what we call a working flight path, and by no means does this need to stay where it is. As we review class performance, so that means homework, work done in books, verbal feedback in class, projects that your child might undertake through study. As we review all of those things, as well as the extracurricular things that they take on, we may then look to review the flight paths and change those, moving them up accordingly so that the challenge is always pitched just right for your child to be working just hard enough, but not too hard, but certainly we don't want the work to feel too easy. As I said, these are continually under review, and that would be something that you could discuss with a class teacher if you at home felt that work needed to be harder, and that your child's class teachers may come to talk to you about. So how do we let you know all of this information? Well, after the baseline tests have been completed and we've generated the working flight path, so that's the initial flight path that we will then continue to review, we will get in touch with you to give you that document that outlines your child's initial flight paths. Once your child has received their initial flight paths, we'll report back to you at learning review days. Now at the Archer, we have 3 learning review days per year, and that's where you will have the opportunity to go through your child's report card and look at how your child's progressing in each subject area. Now, a subject report looks something like this, and what you'll see here is you'll see the different subjects down here, you'll see the flight path that's been allocated, and then the colour coding will tell you as a parent whether your child is working above, below, on, well above their flight path. Now, in a summary, flight paths are a tool to realise your child's potential. We want to make sure that what we're doing in school is enabling the right level of challenge. They are aspirational, so where we feel that your child is progressing towards the next flight path, we will review that together with yourselves to make sure that we're always providing exactly the right level of challenge. Now, I'm aware that what I've talked through is quite complex and a lot of information to take in. We will be sending a parent guide to Key Stage 3 curriculum and assessment and a letter with more information in it. And then following our baseline tests, which I'll talk through in a second, you'll receive your initial flight paths for your child. Now, in terms of the baseline tests, these are simply progress tests in English, maths, science, and then cognitive ability tests. Now, these are important for us and your child's class teachers to have a picture of what that pitch of challenge should look like for your child. These tests are much more important for us than they are for your child, and they are not something that your child can do any studying or revision for. These will take place across next week from Wednesday to Friday, and in the letter that will follow this meeting, you will receive a timetable so that you can prepare your child for those baseline tests. As I said, these are much more important for us than they are for your child, and absolutely not something that your child should be worried about. But if you do have questions or concerns or worries, please do reach out to us via your child's form tutor, head of year, or myself directly. Now, I'm going to hand back to Miss Harrison, and shortly we'll come back for some questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Miss Martin, and parents. I do hope that overview there is helpful. There is some information in the parent guide that you had back in July, as well as available on the school website, that you may find useful in advance of the letter coming out to you with your child's initial working flight paths on it and the curriculum information. I just want to check with my technology colleagues that we're ready and able for Miss Ogbasa-Lacey to be able to speak with you. So no, I'm sorry.
Not yet, sorry.
I'm sorry, parents, but poor Miss Ogbasa-Lacey, I know she's worked really hard to put information together for you this evening. OK, so Miss Martin, if I could just ask you to have a look at the questions for me whilst I share some bits, some core bits of information with you as parents.
Yes.
Parents, in a moment, you will click onto your second link, which will enable you to have your first session with your child's form tutor. And they really are your first point of contact and the most important person for you on a day-to-day basis. And what a brilliant team they are as well. And they've really enjoyed getting to know your children throughout summer school and then into this week as well. Our tutors have got some kind of frequently asked questions in a format that they hope that you will find useful. But please, as tutors ask you if you have any questions, know that we find that incredibly helpful to support us in developing our practice and thinking about the things that you really need to know to feel really on top of it. One area of school life that I would very much like to raise the profile is our Parents Association. But we have a thriving Parents Association here in school, although it has suffered with the horrible interruptions of COVID-19. But you will be asked about joining a WhatsApp group for your child's tutor group, and we took details for that back in the summer, you may remember, but we're keen to get those started. But there will be information in the newsletter this week from the chair of the Parents Association, Jess Curtis. And if you would like to get involved, because we're keen to have an inaugural meeting for this academic year quite soon, if you'd like to get involved, please do reach out to the school or wait for the newsletter on Friday and contact Jess directly. But hopefully there's lots of you that would like to get involved with that work. It's something that's very important to me, and I really enjoy that additional time with parents. And my goodness, doesn't our parent body need some social occasions? I would just like to touch on social media and e-safety. You'll remember that I highlighted these things back to you in July. But over the coming weeks, Miss Ogbasa-Lacey and Miss Martin will be providing workshops and activities for your young person on areas of social media and e-safety, and also some sessions for you as parents. We'll also afford regular updates in the newsletter as well, with things to be aware of and things to look out for. But parents, you will notice quite a shift in interest for your young person in relation to social media. That may have already started in the last few days. But please, if there is anything that you are ever concerned about, please do reach out to us so that we can work with you between home and school. And I would urge you around those really careful boundaries. For example, the 9 p.m. watershed is something we've talked about a lot at school, but putting our phones away, turning our screens off at 9 o'clock to create that real divide. Ensuring that mobile phones are not taken into the bedroom at night time is an absolute key one for me. Most inappropriate and upsetting social media events tend to take place when you think your children are asleep. So please put those boundaries in place to help them from the beginning, so they don't have to become things that you fight over or things that can make your child vulnerable. So please do have a good think about that as we prepare to support you and your child with social media and e-safety, and how to navigate it so they can enjoy it over the key weeks and months. Your young people seem incredibly confident on our mobile phone rules and expectations, and I've been really pleased about that. So just a reminder that, of course, there are no smartphones allowed in school, and that rule is unlikely to change, and I would always tell you before I tell them. Now, parents, we are going to move into the session with your child's form tutor in just a moment. But one of the things that I would really like to revisit at this stage before we do that is my expectations of your wonderful children. They have brought real brightness and light into school as they've become archers over the last week. The amount they've had to take on board and learn, and they are doing it with such wonderful smiles on their faces. They certainly seem to be enjoying the food as well. But for me, my expectations will always be the same, and that is that they make themselves proud of themselves, that they make you proud, and that they make me proud, that they model and mirror the Archer way in all that they do, that they work hard and they're nice to one another and others. And by holding those core things together, I've got no doubt that your child is going to thrive and really, truly achieve great things. So, Miss Martin, I don't know if there are any quick questions that might be helpful to parents before we move into the tutor session.
Yeah, absolutely. Some great questions. Thank you to everybody who shared. Just a quick one on Show My Homework. When does homework start for Year 7s? How does Show My Homework work?
Thank you. That's an excellent question. So in fact, the form tutors are going to go through Show My Homework with you, but homework will start properly next week, but just with English, maths and science. So we do this in a staggered way. So they've got another week, and then in terms of Show My Homework, the tutors will show you how that works, but it is an online portal that you can log into separately to your child so that you can see what homework is available to them as well. So just a reminder, there's no homework this week, but it does begin just with core subjects next week, and then it increases just incrementally so that by the time they get to half term they will have their full quota. And in fact, Ms Martin, I think it would be useful for us to remind parents of that homework structure. So could you just highlight to Ms Ogbatalacey if we could pop that in the newsletter this week?
Yes, absolutely. Another quick one on how are children streamed? How and when are they streamed into different classes?
Thank you, Miss Martin. Excellent question again there, parents. Well, we don't stream here at school, but however, we do set by academic ability and potential in core areas of school life. If one is to stream, that means they separate children from the beginning of their school career and they stay in those positions, and we do quite the opposite there. Currently, your child is taught in mixed ability groups for all subjects. They will complete the baseline assessments that Miss Martin mentioned. We have the summer challenges that they've completed in English and information from your child's form tutor, from your child's primary school, my apologies. And then they will take some final assessments just before half term. We will use all of those different key points, including the primary school information, to move your child into ability groupings for English, maths and science, and they will move into those ability groupings from the start of November when they come back from Kingswood. So they're in mixed ability groups now, and then they will move into ability groupings from November time. Those, as I said, are based on all of those key assessments, and children then can move in ability groups throughout the academic year based on their academic progress and the challenge and support that they need. In science, children are split in X and Y band, their half year groups, and there are 3 sets on each half of the year. But this year, for the first time, and this very much is an educational development for us as part of our Raising Achievement agenda, we are teaching English, maths and maths as whole year groups. So there are all of the children having English in Year 7, as they were this afternoon, all at the same time. And that's enabling us to really fine tune our stretch, challenge and support for every child. So those timelines around those setting points are in the parent guide shared in July, but we will keep revisiting those with you and your child. So it's nothing for them to worry about or you to worry about. It's about us helping to get that curriculum pitch right just for them.
Lovely. And then if I can, just one more. If a child is not working at their flight path, what provision do we provide for them to catch up?
Thank you very much, Ms Martin. That's particularly important in the current climate where, of course, COVID may well have had a disproportionate impact in some cases on your child's academic progress over the last couple of years. So if a child is working below their flight path, then we would work with the with the teacher, first of all, and the heads of department. That would be identified following the flight paths. It may well be that we ask your child to attend some interventions at school or some after school activities. It may well be that we set them some additional work or ask them to do some things with you at home. But there are a range of interventions that we have in place at school, some that are teacher or teaching assistant led, and some which are about providing additional resources and support for them. It depends on what that issue is specifically, so that we can really help them accelerate their work. You may be aware nationally that the government has made additional funds available to schools to support catching up, which we have very gratefully received, and excellent progress was made using that additional money last year, and we're keen to start using that now. And we have ring-fenced some of that money just for children in Year 7, particularly around tutoring, if that's the right thing for them.
Lovely. And then could I just take the opportunity to very quickly flag Homework Club to parents, which is starting this week. So this will take place at Lower School for 1 hour after the school day on Mondays, Thursdays and Fridays. It's an excellent opportunity for your child to go along next week when they do start to get that homework, and have an adult who can help them and direct them to the right resources. Thanks, Ms Harrison.
Thank you, Miss Martin. Good plugging there. Well, parents, I'm so sorry that Miss Ogbassalacey has not been able to speak with you this afternoon. I can only imagine how frustrated she will be at this particular moment. But parents, thank you so much for your time and for being here with us this afternoon. I hope that introduction has been helpful and just flagged up some of those key mechanisms. I know it's only been a week for your child, conscious it's only been a week for you as well, but I hope that you're smiling. I hope that you're proud of them, because we certainly are. So what I would ask you to do now is, if you step out of this meeting and click on your second link, and your child's form tutor will be there. And Miss Martin is just going to do a quick run around the building to make sure the form tutors don't start too quickly while you're all logging in. Parents, thank you so very much, and I look forward to seeing you very soon. Bye bye.